Hello and welcome to day 2 of GatherVerse Women's Health Summit 2026. And what a fantastic introduction from the almighty founder, Christopher, for the amazing introduction. But right now we have a roundtable discussion where we're going to be talking about every women's health phase, better information and better support. So I'm very interested to hear from the panelists about this roundtable discussion. Also, what we're going to do very quickly is we're going to have a 30-second introduction from each of the panelists so they can introduce themselves, and then we'll get into the questions after that as well. So we're going to start to my left-hand side, which is Paige. So Paige, please introduce yourself, and also great to see you again, and welcome to GatherVerse too.
Thank you, Russell. It's a delight and honor to be here with this esteemed panel. Thank you. My name is Paige Danziger. I am the volunteer director at the XR Women Museum. It's a place where we amplify women's voices through creative technology.
It's great to have you with us, Paige, and I hear so many of the amazing things that you do over at XR Women Museum. So thank you for joining us once again today.
My pleasure.
Lorna, please introduce yourself. And I don't know if this is your first time here or not, but I mean, it's my first time meeting you. So please introduce yourself, Lorna.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lorna. It's a pleasure meeting all of you. It's actually my second time. And I am a paralegal and a keynote speaker, and I want to educate and help people to understand about how important it is to put things in place ahead of time so that when women do maybe find themselves in a situation where something goes awry, maybe on the delivery table, or we're having fibroid treatment or something like that, and they say have no power of attorney, they have no type of directive letting people know what their wishes are. And then also I ran my own health food store for 5 years. So I'm into like alternative medicine as well as working with the system that can help to save lives and bring emergency treatment. Amen.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Lorna. That was an in-depth introduction, but I love it. So thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Over to you, Lynn. Please introduce yourself, and great to see you again as well.
Hello, excited to be here. Shamama Lynn, founder of Cosmic Rose Wellness and creator of the Purpose Embodiment Method, which is a trauma-informed energy medicine technique that I'm currently starting a study on, which I'm super excited about. And I've really thought about how to introduce myself. So I am a former aerospace engineer with Boeing and NASA, become spiritual guide, contactee, medium, and psychic empath.
Wow, Lynn, that's a long list there.
I know, I don't know, but I have to be clear with things that are so unclear.
Very true. Thank you for joining us, Lynn. And Diana, welcome to GatherVerse. It's great to have you with us as well. Please introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. My name is Diana Adamko. I am originally from Hungary, and British Hungarian has become now. And my background is from education and personal development and mindset. And then through my own personal journey, that has become more touching into women's health and well-being, especially emotional and spiritual health, and helping women through a series of things that I have developed really connect to their body, to their cycle, being cycle awareness, having cycle awareness in their lives. And this is how Sense for Life have grown into, which I have founded a little method that is helping us to connect to our cycle, connect to our life stages, to our body, and being able to take care of our health on all levels, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, wherever it takes.
Wherever it takes, I like that. Thank you so much for joining us, Diana. And we'll go over to Felista. Is that how you say your name, I believe?
Yeah, you said it well. So.
Oh, nice. Please introduce yourself, Felista.
Thank you. So my name is Felista Yogo, and I am a healthcare interoperability and AI expert. And my professional life and volunteer life really much touches about technology and people in society. I spent a lot of my earlier life working on women health and girls health education and everything else. So being here is a pleasure, and I cannot wait to learn from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Felista, and it's great to have you with us, and welcome to GatherVerse as well. And last but not least, someone who just joined us on the stage, Lauren. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are, and where is the almighty golden retriever?
I hold on.
You have to do it, Lauren. You have to do it every time. Love it.
She's here.
There she is. Hello. Lauren, who are you though? We want to know who you are too.
That's all that's important here. I'm Lauren. I am an immersive technologist. I've done some AI projects as well. She's heavy, so I'm kind of out of breath.
Maybe we should make you go to the gym next time and then introduce yourself.
Yeah. Bench press Avery. Yeah, I have a master's in virtual reality. Also part of XR Women. I have been in the community. I started with a minor in virtual reality at Chapman University in Orange County, which is known for their film school. And then I went to London to get a master's in VR. Yeah, done some AI projects. I went on tour with Drake and work on a deep fake for him, which was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, great to have you with us, Lauren, and a great introduction as well. And, last but not least, for myself, my name's Russell. I am the Global Affairs Director at GatherVerse. I'm also the co-founder of JustVerify. And JustVerify is focused on building the trust infrastructure for AI. We're focusing, our mission really in a nutshell is to verify the integrity of any AI model to allow you to have the choice in which you want to trust through trust evidence and proof and evidence and verification. So that's what we do in a nutshell at JustVerify. So it's all about giving individuals and the companies the power to be able to choose what you want to trust in a nutshell. So so that's what we do at JustVerify. But let's go into the discussion now, where we're going to be talking about at every woman's health phase, better information, better support. So let's start with question 1, and we'll go over to Paige first, and then we'll head over to Felista after. So the question is, how can women across the world obtain accurate health education in every different phase of their health? So Paige, over to you. You might want to unmute your microphone, Paige, and then we can hear you. There we go.
Thank you. Well, I really believe that immersive technology, as well as like mobile technology, even mobile gaming, can help this information and accuracy be more accessible. When I think about accessible education that is interactive, I think of Dr. Jane Harrington's Med Micromaps, or Dr. Linda Ciavarelli's program of creating immersive games to embody our health mechanics and our parts of the body. I think that women need to be part of the story of their own health program.
Mm-hmm.
And immersive technology, mobile gaming helps take ownership and agency over your health. We need to be our strongest advocates and use the tools that we have. I also believe, not to hit every aspect, but our governments or our states or communities also have an important role in this. Here in the United States, Medicare is being used as a political tool, and we need to separate that away from political entities undermining women's health.
That's so important. And I just want to kind of back up what you're saying as well, Paige. I saw an interesting statistic just before I, jumped into this roundtable discussion. And basically by 2030, almost 1 billion women are going to either be postmenopause or menopause in their, life cycle. And obviously the education for that is extremely important. So when I saw that statistic, I thought that was, mind blowing that could happen in just such a short time frame for women in particular, of course. So, but I just wanted to kind of add to what I guess. What are your thoughts on that, Paige, as well?
I think we're so fortunate to have people like Trisha Blake with My Third Bloom podcast and virtual experience. Who are focusing in the discussion of menopause and destroying the stigmas of the silence around it. We also have art in upcoming exhibits that highlights our founders or most senior members, and so making sure that their voices are as prevalent in our communications as young adults, I think is really important to have a cross-generational discussions around health.
Absolutely agree. And that's why obtaining accurate health education is so important when it comes to women and just in general as well. Anything to do with health wise is just so important. So thank you so much, Paige, for sharing your thoughts there. And Felista, we'll head over to you now because you have a very interesting background. I'm going to ask you the same question. How can women across the world obtain accurate health education in every different phase of their health? We heard Paige there talking about, playing games and, being able to learn that way, right? What is your thoughts, Felista?
I think my thoughts are, I think at the start, we all need to acknowledge that every woman, and pretty much every woman, will need different type of information at different times of their lives. And how do we package that information to be personalized and accurate to them? And even understanding what is health education, and I know there's different definition of what is health education, and I got a very interesting one online. And health education for women is planned. So can you imagine? It has to be planned. It has to be evidence-based, and it has to combine lived experiences of women, and so that at the goal or at the end of it all, we're trying to improve their health by increasing their knowledge, fostering health attitude, and developing skill to prevent and treat diseases. And I tried as much as possible not to go to the UN definition of what is health, because I always loved it, and I can remember when I, as a teenager, reciting what is health in terms of United Nations, and the state is a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of diseases or infirmity. And if we can pretty much understand what health education is, it's very easy to develop tools that can help us achieve what is it we want women to achieve in terms of their health. So we talked about the mobile technologies, we talked about clinical diagnosis instruments, the apps and all that. Are they all leading us to accurate, personalized health information for women?
Yeah, I completely agree, Felista. And I just, it makes me think about, so the AI side of things as well, and how, it's very heavily obviously dominated by us, so to speak, right? Not gonna hold my hands up or anything, but but the thing is, it is so important to have women's health like tools and the right AIs for women's side, and how, like Christopher was saying, in integrating women into that from the start, because at the end of the day, whichever AI you may receive healthcare from, it needs to be specialized and focused for women, right? Like it needs to be built by women, so to speak, for women, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep, you're right.
So when you're talking about the data side, I completely agree with what you're saying. It has to be done in the right way, so to speak. What are your thoughts on that, just quickly?
So my thoughts are always live reality of women. And the way you say it, and we've seen, I was looking at statistics even saying that something like Alexa sometime, or even other voice recognition softwares, sometimes they don't even understand women, right? So
yeah.
So can you imagine if that is not doing the basic, like a voice recognition, that I'm asking them random question, cannot understand me as a woman? What about when it comes to health? Sure. So it's going to leave a lot behind for women. So yeah.
Completely agree, Felista. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and for your input. Lauren, we're going to be heading over to you, and then Lorna will head over to you next. So Lauren, over to yourselves. So the question for you is, what misinformation about women's health continues to persist, and how can that be addressed? Over to you, Lauren.
Okay, that's kind of a fun question. I think if I understand this question correctly, I would just say that, like, honestly, there's probably not enough emphasis and like importance revolving around like stress management and sleep. And like in the society that we live in, people work so hard all the time, and they like forget to take breaks and go outside and see the sunshine. And I think that's really important. And not to say that like misinformation is kind of an interesting one, because it's like, who is exactly like giving us this information? And maybe that's the problem. I feel like maybe health is not talked about enough. Yeah,
maybe that's where the misinformation stems from, right?
Yeah,
because it isn't spoken about, so to speak.
Yeah. Like, for example, like I started a part-time job at Best Buy, and it's just kind of like there's a lot of issues, but one of them is that like this one girl that also started around the same time as me is has been denied her like 15-minute breaks multiple times, and that's illegal for one.
I was gonna say, like, that is definitely not legal.
Yeah, and like also it just makes us like, I haven't been denied any breaks, but like I can imagine how she feels, because like working at Best Buy and being new is like hard. It's just it requires a lot of adaptation and a lot of like I don't know, it's just like dealing with people can be difficult. So like just the amount of like just taking a 15-minute break to go outside and like getting some fresh air is really important.
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking, like, could the misinformation potentially stem from just decades previously of what something was understood back, like, let's say 50 years ago, might not be the same now, and maybe that could be the originator of the misinformation itself when it comes to modern day. I mean, that could be, I'm just guessing here. I don't have any sort of statistics or facts to back that up, but that's kind of my thinking. When we talk about misinformation with AI, for example, again, that's all from books, that's all from the internet, etc. So all that data that it's trained on has all misinformation within that too. So could that potentially be just from historical records that maybe it wasn't right at the time, but just an idea?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, either way, I think that people should go outside more and get more fresh air and do yoga.
Well, thank you very much for your thoughts, Lauren. I love that. Straight to the point. Fantastic. Lorna, let's bring you on this question. What are your thoughts on what misinformation about women's health continues to persist, and how can that be addressed? Is there any particular point that you can think of, or maybe you've seen, or etc.? Okay, looks like I'm having issues with Lorna. So we'll head over to Diana. Diana, we're going to fire this question over to you. Sorry about the jump there and the shock factor. You're like, who, what? Diana, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this question?
I think that what you were saying that is like what misinformation about women's health continues to persist is like a historical fact, because there is no, it is historically established that women's health were not researched. We were not part of clinical trials because they thought that women's cycles is making unreliable results in researches. So everything is based on male health and male body and male biology. So from this point of view, it's really easy to have all sorts of misinformation. I mean, I think that's like, it's an amazing opportunity that when AI and technology is coming to its height, and it's really like we're on this cusp of things where technology is just going to run everything almost, then this is the moment when we are really digging deep into women's health, the human body, because women's health is cyclical and human nature is cyclical. We're always going to be one brain per body. So we will always need the cyclicalness, the slowness, that sort of thing. And I think when it comes to misinformation about women's health, nobody knows. Like, even women don't know about their own health. Women don't know about their own cycle. Have been, since our 20s, we go on to contraceptive pills, which means that our cycle stops. We don't bleed. We are completely disconnected from our body. We don't observe our body. We have no idea what's going on with us. So it is like a huge gap where misinformation can be anything. We don't know our own body. If you go to the doctor, the only thing they ask you is when was your last period, but nobody's explaining it, why it's important. I'm not even sure if we're trained why this is important, why they need to ask this question, apart from trying to establish that are you pregnant or not. But actually there's so much significance to your cycle, so much significance to your age. So basically, we don't know our own health. We have never been educated about own health. Doctors have never been really properly educated about women's health, because everything is based on male biology. Hormonal cycle is not really, female hormonal cycle is not really part of, training for to be a doctor. So much is missing. It's very easy, I think, misinformation to be left, right, center, because we don't know. So it's important to establish that where we are coming from and why we feel that misinformation, like this historical thing, that is a foundation. There is no foundation for our health, and we really need to dig into research. And I think this is why technology is important, because for women to connect with technology as well, because we can feed our stories, our information into the technology. So then AI is going to bring the right answer, because sometimes we think, as you said, that just right, what is verified and what is correct. So if technology is picking up on the data gap, then whatever you get back from technology is going to be misinformation, because we have so much gap in research. So when we see technology as objective, we also need to know that technologies only will be as good as for information if we feed in the right information, and that is missing. So I think it's the misinformation is on the personal level, that you don't know what's happening to you. You don't know why your health is going away. And when you go to the doctor, when you go to a community, other women also can't tell you, because nobody, even between women and women, this information are not shared, and we don't know. So I think it's not even the fact that give me a specific misinformation, is that this general space where we are in, that none of us really sure what to look for and when to go and go deeper into our health, what is normal, how it should be working on a daily basis. How my body is, it's a lot of effort to find it out. Like I could say personal examples where I was misdiagnosed at the doctor when I entered into perimenopausal phase, and the doctor just gave me a lot of pills for pain and nothing else. And when I went home, I just thought, no, this is not how it's going to be. I don't want to live in pain, and I don't want to be popping pills and painkillers. And I kept digging and digging and digging until I found some research where it shows that actually this is the age gap that I am in, where these kind of digestive issues show up for women between 45 and 55 because of perimenopause, because of hormones. And after this period, it goes away. And it's important for women to know, because this is how then you can support yourself and support your health. And then
Diana,
empowered, you can go to the doctor.
We're having technical issues with yourself. We're having technical difficulties there. I can see the camera going a bit funny there. So anyway, I want to just jump in. Like, misinformation is such a huge thing, and it's just something that really needs to be solved. So always do your research, always figure things out, and as Lauren says, always go outside too. So the next question is, what role should partners and families play in supporting women's health decisions? Lynn, we'll head over to you now, and thank you so much for your patience. But we have a great question for you, so please fire away.
I love this. What role should partners play? Listen to women. Let women guide. For me, health, the biggest thing that we need to be shifting is our food. Really, that's kind of the basis of everything. I personally am plant-based. Everyone's on a journey. But for example, I hear a lot of women say, oh, I would love to be plant-based, but my husband, does anyone, or my boyfriend, but my partner doesn't want to. So we need men to start trusting us and our intuitions about what might be best for the family. And then women also need to feel a little bit more empowered to choose what you put in the grocery cart. And if you don't want to eat it, you can go make your own food. And that's a little fiery, but we do have, there's a certain energy of like reclaiming it. And the other point I wanted to make, regardless of what question I got, is the most important, the technology is so amazing for spreading, but the most important technology is this technology. The technologist is a technology. And so the technology will be used to put forth the healers in the metaverse, to put forth all of the women here. Like, women have so many gifts, the intuition, we know telekinesis, we know magic is real, and we've been afraid. We have generational trauma, witch trials, Bible stuff, non-Bible stuff. We have a lot of darkness emerging right now. And so what is important to remember is I always bring it back to the science, right? I go way out and I'm going to come back in to the science of matter, is that everything is 99.999% empty space. So everything that we're talking about isn't really real. So if we want to talk about virtuality, we need to talk about what we're living in and our choice. Our mind is the technology that we should be harnessing. And that goes into nervous system regulation. So when we're talking about sleep, when we're talking about anxiety, when we're talking about all this stuff. And what partners and families need to do is stop calling women woo-woo. They need to stop shaming us when we start slamming down the truth in a way that isn't gentle with a big smile on our face, because there's a seriousness. And as I have stepped into my power, I am called like rude so much. Like, I was never aware that my power was so offensive.
Okay.
And all the women, and I love that your response to that, because you cannot understand. But every woman on this camera knew exactly what I said and exactly what I meant. And so the men is kind of trust our words when we say these things. And then my answer is energy work. my energy, my answer is changing the way we think, and just trusting that the system that we have is a facade and it's not working and it does not serve us. And we need to dismantle everything without burning it to the ground. And this is where the diplomat in me, I'm really having to channel this balanced energy that we're not burning it to the ground. This is unity, and everything that's birthed from this darkness and through the suppression of the feminine has served a purpose. But now the partners, the families need to open space to let us lead and let us do it in the way that we need to do it. Which isn't always going to be like a fairy bouncing around, right? There's like, sometimes you just need to shut up and listen. And that's all I can say. And I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to I'm talking like,
how dare you, Lynn?
You know, I love you, Russell. And I do want to say that, like, this medium, every man that I've encountered through GatherVerse and just like LinkedIn in general, they're very, very high level men. There is like, it's beyond hope. It's already written in the stars that we're going to figure this out. But there is a level of conditioning to stay closed-minded and to tune us out. And I don't know the answer to how men can open to be receptive, except for me, it's through energy work. It's through deep internal reflection versus anything that you can do on the outside. So I don't want to say anything else, but
no, you did bring up a interesting point. You know, when we're talking about families and when we're talking about partners, etc. Like it is extremely important, because at the end of the day, right? Me being a man, of course. The thing is it, you know, women obviously know their bodies better than what we do. So when they say something's wrong, right, within their health, could be anything, right? It could be, I don't know, that they feel unwell or whatever it is, right? If she's telling you that, then obviously, you know, me as a partner, if you want to call it that, you know, you need to understand that and go, okay, there is something wrong. She's telling me that. So, you know, we need to go to the doctors or do X, Y, and Z. So I completely agree that women know their bodies better than what men do, which is kind of why we're having this whole discussion of, you know, why is it that we need AI built by women, you know, for women? Because women know women better and know the bodies better. So that should be built by women and incorporated into it. So I completely agree with what you're saying, Lynn. And I think, you know, as a guy myself, so to speak, you know, having the understanding, that realization, and listening to the woman when she says something is wrong, I completely agree that as a partner, or even a family member like my sister, for example, you know, I need to make sure that, okay, she's telling me something's wrong, so we need to go to doctors or whatever it is. So I completely agree with what you're saying, Lynn. So thank you very much for sharing your thoughts.
Can I take on one little thing just really quickly? And the answer might not be to go to the doctors. I mean, that's kind of the most important point too, is that there's a lot of intuitive wisdom in the body that is available, and some of the doctors they aren't educated enough to offer. I mean, I've been doing more sweat lodge, sweating, cold plunging, and aromatherapy, and I feel the amount of stress that this psychic feels based on what's going on in the collective is more than most people could fathom. And it's natural remedies that are helping me, nothing that is medication. And so I also just want men to trust, if the woman says, I want to try something else, trust that too.
Agreed, Lynn. And also, by the way, I just add also what you're saying as well. Just one last thing as well. Do you know what? It could be just something as simple as having a conversation.
Breathing together.
So,
inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8.
Anyway, thank you very much, Lynn. We do need to get around to the other questions. So let's go to the next question now. Question 5 is, how can digital health tools improve support without overwhelming women with data? So we had this discussion very briefly earlier. So Lorna, we're going to try you once again. Hopefully we have no technical issues this time. So Lorna, over to you on this question.
I think digital tools can help a lot. I saw on TV they have where you can order your own EKGs. I don't know if people have seen that. And then also, I've been to a place in Costa Mesa, California, where I was able to pick which areas of my body I wanted to have ultrasounds done on. And
Oh,
I know
wow.
that, yeah, so like if they could really get that out, that suppose, it's taking too long to get an authorization, but there's an app that you can go to go somewhere else to talk about your heavy menstrual cycles, because so many times women are having to get hysterectomies, and by the time they get it, they've got about 8 fibroids, some of them the size of grapefruits, that have literally been feeding off their body with veins and, and capillaries and all kinds of stuff, feeding it like it's a baby. And then if there could be an app that we could incorporate with the schools, so that if a young underage girl is afraid to tell her parents she's sexually active, maybe she could be able to go to the school nurse and get a pregnancy test. But of course, the parents could consent that, yes, if she wanted to get tests for an STD, but then when we find out the results, the parents, of course, would be notified. But make these type of things more accessible, because I think that underage girls, and sometimes even preteens, whether they're sexually active by their own volition or against their own volition, they don't have access and even resources to be able to go outside of your insurance to get pap smears and mammograms, since oftentimes there's age categories. Like if a woman's over 70, they feel, oh, she doesn't need a pap smear, she's not sexually active. But as a former Medicare broker for almost 10 years, there's a whole bunch of sex going on at, nursing homes and over 65 apartments and things like that.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that we need to coordinate that. And I bet you that probably 1 or 2% of the general population even know that if they're having some issue that their doctor is disregarding or telling them it's only in their mind or it's just your period, other resources. So coordinating that just the same way, of course, GatherVerse is definitely a platform where people can be able to learn about that there's things available outside the box, and, coordinate links and things like that, and even encourage one another to get some of these things started. And a lot of times people would love to read medical journals and scholarly reports and see what's happening, not just in our country, but in all the other countries. Because just like how there's certain things like the flaming hot Cheetos we all like, but those dyes are banned in other countries, like Britain and other places. So there's just so many things over here that we're allowed to eat that are poisoning ourselves, but the word's not getting out.
Yeah,
yes.
I hear that a lot about the US. The food there is not the best. Let's say in very nice terms.
Yes. Digitally.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but talking about digitally, we could have, whether it's Doodly or some 10-second reels that can kind of show in a pictorial way, or even a song, because we all remember things that we learned as a Miss Rachel song or growing up with Sesame Street, but something. And then of course, do it in a way where you have the involvement, say, of whatever the age group is, which one, like split testing, which of these things do you think would go viral? So we can get the word out, but just something, since there's such a short attention span, 10 seconds, use our digital tools to share the resources and information.
I honestly, I think it's even less than that now with the TikTok brains these days. But no, I completely agree with you, Lorna. I think information just needs to be so simple and simplified down that it's so easy to understand that instead of overwhelming women with all the data, if they can just see something simple, like they can just see and go, okay, like how you're saying about the food comparisons. Let's say they want to compare one food to another food, and they say, okay, which one's more toxic, for example, right? And they compare both their foods, and they'll be like, well, this helps me with my menopause, this doesn't. Okay, I'm going to eat this food, right? Simple tools like that will be extremely important going forward. So I completely agree with what you're saying. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when I was about 13, I had a lump removed from my breast. And like back then, because I'm 58 now, they kind of did like a localized thing, local anesthesia, strap you down to the table and took it out. And they showed it to me and my mom. It looked like a meatball or something. you know, and luckily it was benign or what have you. But when our system is set up that you don't even begin to get mammograms until a certain age, that means you could have an 18-year-old or a 16 or 15-year-old with breast cancer.
That's so important.
And the same thing with the pap smears, you know, just only be so we could share where you can go and then get like the head of the departments of the OBGYN and people like that who'd be willing to be spokespeople for us to say it's okay if something's not smelling right, if it's not feeling right, if it's itching, if it's burning or whatever. And then a lot of times there's things that have no symptoms at all. And then not only that, they don't test for every single thing under the sun. So sometimes, like I'm saying, digitally, if they could know about a place where they can go pay $200, even on a payment plan, and get an ultrasound of this part or that part, they can head some things off at the pass and save a whole bunch of recovery time, sick time, stress leave, and everything that goes along with a woman or mother having to be off work for 6 weeks to recover from something we could have discovered 3 years ago.
Absolutely, Lorna. And on that note, that was a mic drop moment right there. So thank you very much for that. So next question is, why are women often underrepresented in clinical research? And what are the consequences? Oh my God, this is just an important question. So Paige, we're gonna hand this over to you because I know you like to take the difficult questions. And Diana will head over to you after, and then Felista will head over to you next after that as well. So Paige, over to you first.
I can't help thinking about, I believe there are 4 African-American women who were used and abused as test subjects for all of modern gynecology study. And when I think about how systematically abusive some research and like using people's bodies can tilt information into harmful studies and creating, instead of like a legacy of health knowledge, actually contributing to legacy trauma for cultural groups. I think that needs to be examined and eradicated. I also believe that that on the other end, continuing to proliferate old ideas from medical records or medical studies that are hundreds of years old, like hysteria or the lack of, oh, I just saw a red cardinal. It's the first of the year. Ooh, sorry, a moment here. Like that's a moment of good health. Ooh, when I just think of the historic wrongs and traumas, I think that there should be an accountability in discussing and saying we were wrong here, but now we have the tools and the mindset to be better. And we're now being led by hospital administration and teams that are diverse, full of women, including trans members. So changing who is creating the research and taking accountability for old harmful research pathways that were like, you can see the impact of that today, where many groups are resistant to maybe vaccinations or different kinds of treatment, or even, and I don't have any stats in front of me, but we were talking about, as Lauren had talked about, fibroids. A massive percentage of Black women are, and I was impacted as well. But the lack of information for cultural groups that have a prevalence of health concerns. I think all of these can be having more clarity and more accountability around, and those consequences could more easily be dissolved with that sense of transparency, clarity, accountability. So I'll leave it at that. That was a hard question. But
I think you handled it well, Paige. I think you
Thank
handled it well. You did a good job. No, I agree. Transparency, accountability, super important, and any old research should be updated for sure, especially with AI now. We have tools now, we have technology now that can be used, but then again, can we trust what AI says as well at the same time? So especially when it comes to women's health. So anyway, thank you so much, Paige, for sharing your thoughts. Diana, like I said, we're going to hardline over to you next, and then we did say we'll go to Felista after. So Diana, same question for yourself. Paige expressed that accountability is super important, the transparency is super important from these past researchers, and that they should be updated. So what are your thoughts on all of this discussion so far, Diana?
Yes, I very much agree with what Paige said, and I don't know if you heard me when I had my question before that, but it's really connected to that misinformation as well, like why there are so much misinformation for women's health is because historically we have been left out from medical research because they have considered that the female hormonal cycle makes our data inconsistent. Therefore, they left us out from research, which means that everything about our health is based on the male biology, and it's totally two different things. So this is like we are fighting against prejudice here for us women to coming to an era where we recognize that the fact that we have a very fast cyclical nature, like a monthly cycle, it doesn't mean that our data is not reliable. It just means that it's very complex. And this is why it's important that women's lived experiences are part of this data. It is not just measured, not just like measurable data, like how many days or what is the level here and there, but actually based on lived experiences, because then the consequences is the fact that throughout the female hormonal cycle, which is like the whole life, it's not just the menstrual cycle, then we cannot follow women's health. Women cannot follow their own health. Women doesn't understand how they are transitioning from one stage to another and monitor their own health. Because as Shamama Lynn said, it's so important that we monitor our own health. We are connected to our body, because sometimes it's not about going to the doctor. It's just being able to manage our own body, understanding our own body. And I think we can see the consequences in modern life. So many fertility issues, so many women are misdiagnosed, especially in the perimenopausal phase, or their symptoms are brushed off and said, oh, that's just psychological and emotional issues, and there is nothing wrong with the body. And there is nothing wrong with the body, but the body is going through changes, which we need to acknowledge and support in the right way, not just with a medical diagnosis that, I don't know, they have anxiety, or they have hot flushes, or they have digestive issues, which are all coming in perimenopause. Those medical issues are true, but we also, going forward with the treatment, it needs to be considered that why those issues are coming, rather than just treating the diagnosis, because then you do ruin women's health. And this is not what we want to see. A 50-year-old woman has got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise. We want these women to be at work, in their position, in their leadership, because they will bring so much to the company, to life, to business. to all across a board. So it's economically is hurting the companies, life, countries, and women as well, and not just on the personal physical health level. If we underrepresented in clinical research and we don't start to really understand women's health the way we should. I hope that it's all sounded, I was all there.
you brought up some very interesting points, and the one that really kind of stood out for me was when you're talking about the perimenopause side of things, and just makes me think of the 1 billion women by 2030. If they've all got menopause and penopause, then just the issues that they could have and face from lack of health education or understanding it themselves, that could be a big issue, like how you're saying with misdiagnosis and everything like that. So but yeah, anyway, thank you very much, Diana, for sharing. And yes, we completely heard everything you said, so it's all good. So Felista, let's head over to you now. The question for you, Felista, is hang on, let me get my English right. How do socio-economic, I think that's how you say it, differences dictate access to healthcare? So we'll head over to you first, Felista, and then we'll head over to Lynn after.
Oh my God, I don't know even where to start on the issue of socioeconomic differences on access to health. And I cannot wait to think about the health insurance here in the United States, and also lack of even any other insurance in the rest of other parts of the world, where women have no access or have no or fewer resources to even be able to access any help that they need. And and I was looking at some of the figures, or even what it's led us to. Even you look at even the maternal mortality rates here in the United States, can you imagine that we have more women losing their lives when they're giving birth, and even more so for African American women? It's even so sad that we even allow such number of women to die every year as a developed country. And also, even thinking about, if at all I don't even control the narrative of even women health myself, and the discourse that we're seeing today, where even women health conversation brings a lot of political dilemma and discourse and all that. It's just so sad, and I kind of feel like as women, we have a lot to play in the community, and as a collective, we all need to realize that women are actually centered in life giving, and we all need them to be taken care of, at all
Felista,
of their life.
I'm sorry, very, very sorry to stop you there, but I'm afraid we have run out of time for this roundtable discussion. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts, so thank you very much for sharing. And also thank you very much, each and every one panelists, for also sharing your thoughts as well. And that is it for this roundtable discussion. Our gather was well. And up next, we have a fireside chat with Lynn, with her special guest as well. So that'll be coming up next. Thank you very much, everyone. And also make sure you follow each and every one of these lovely ladies on LinkedIn as well. All right, that's it from us. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
You